In 2016, a brand new Reddit account posted to r/legal advice. No karma, no history, no comments, no profile, just a title that sounded like the person didn't even want to be posting it. My neighbor is watching me through the walls. The first wave of replies were predictable. People joked. People asked if he had a carbon monoxide detector. People said, thin walls, you're hearing pipes. Someone said, get a fan. But the post itself didn't read like a creative writing exercise. It read like someone trying very hard to sound normal while their sleep and sense of safety were being dismantled. He wrote that he lived alone in a low-income building. Old vents, old radiators, old paint. The kind of place where you can hear your neighbor's phone vibrate through the wall if the building is quiet enough. He said for the past week he'd been hearing something from the vent above his bed. Breathing. Not the rush of air moving through ductwork, not a humming sound, not a distant TV. Breathing with pauses. Breathing like there was a person on the other side trying to be quiet. The first night he noticed it, he sat up in bed and listened. The breathing stopped. He waited. Then he lay down again. A few seconds later, it started again. That detail bothered people, because that's not how pipes behave. Pipes don't stop because you sat up. Airflow doesn't pause because you moved your head. He tried to explain it away himself. He wrote that he was stressed, that he wasn't sleeping well. He wrote that he'd recently moved in and maybe he was fixating on normal building noise. But the next night, he stood on his mattress and shined his phone flashlight into the vent. It was dark inside, dusty, narrow. It didn't look like anything could fit, but the smell that came out wasn't dust. It was warm, like breath. The third night, the breathing changed. It didn't just sound like someone exhaling, it sounded like someone listening. And then, near midnight, he heard a whisper. Not from the wall, not from outside, from inside the vent above his pillow. I know when you're awake. He wrote that sentence exactly as he heard it. No extra words, no dramatic punctuation. He said he froze so hard his muscles cramped. He didn't move. He didn't breathe. He didn't even swallow. The whisper didn't come again that night. The next night, it returned, but this time it didn't come randomly. It came the moment he moved. He wrote that he stayed perfectly still for almost half an hour, staring at the ceiling, trying to be brave. Nothing happened. Then he shifted his foot under the blanket just slightly, like a test. Immediately from the vent, I know when you're awake. He tested it again. He held his breath, stayed still. Nothing. He moved his hand. The whisper came back. The comment section got serious. One user asked if he had ever experienced sleep paralysis or auditory hallucinations. He replied that he'd never had anything like that. He wasn't on medication. He didn't drink. He didn't use drugs. He didn't even like horror movies. Someone else asked what time it happened. He said it was usually after midnight, often between 1 and 3 a.m. Someone told him to sleep somewhere else. So he did. He dragged a blanket to the living room and slept on the couch. That night, there was no whisper, no breathing. He wrote that he slept better than he had in days. The next night, he went back to his bedroom, trying to convince himself it was in his head. He didn't even make it an hour. He lay down, stayed completely still, listening. Nothing. Then his phone buzzed with a notification and he flinched slightly, almost automatically. The vent whispered immediately, I know when you're awake. He sat up, heart racing, staring at the metal slats as if he might catch something moving. He wrote that after the whisper, he heard something else, a soft scrape inside the vent, like a fingertip or nail brushing metal, like someone adjusting their position. People told him to call the police. People told him to call the landlord. One person asked a question that changed the thread. What's on the other side of your bedroom wall? He replied that it was another apartment, another bedroom, the unit next door. But the unit was empty. It had been empty for months. That was the moment the replies stopped being sarcastic. Because an empty apartment doesn't breathe. An empty apartment doesn't respond to your movement. Someone told him to demand access to that unit immediately, not tomorrow, not next week. He replied that he'd asked the landlord before. The landlord told him the unit wasn't ready, and he didn't want strangers walking through it. But he said he would try again in the morning. Then the account went silent for almost a day. People kept replying anyway. They argued about vents and air pressure. They told him to tape paper over the vent to see if air was moving. They told him to put a chair under the doorknob, as if that mattered. Then he edited the post. He said the landlord finally agreed to unlock the vacant unit next door. He wrote, "Going in today. I'll update." Hours passed. Then another edit appeared. He said the apartment smelled stale, like unopened rooms and old paint. The bedroom was empty, no furniture, no bedding, no trash, no evidence of anyone living there. But there was a hole in the wall. He posted a photo. At first glance, it looked like nothing. Beige wall, baseboard. Then you saw it. A rough opening near the baseboard behind where a bed would sit. Just big enough for an eye. Not a clean drilled hole, not a nail hole. A rough break. And the drywall around it was smooth and darkened, rubbed down the way a stair rail gets rubbed down, like something had pressed against it, again and again. People zoomed in. People replied faster. People told him not to go back to his unit. Someone asked him to take a picture from inside his own bedroom to see if the hole lined up. He replied that it lined up with the area near his bed, close to where his head would be. Another person asked if there were any marks on the floor. He said there were faint scuffs near that wall. Someone said that could be old. He replied, the dust on the floor was undisturbed everywhere else. Those scuffs looked recent. He called the police. They came. They looked at the vacant unit. They looked at the hole. They shined a flashlight into it. They asked the landlord questions. Then they told him there was no sign of forced entry. The door to the vacant unit had been locked. The windows were intact. No fingerprints, no bedding, no bags, no food. One officer told him it was probably old damage from a previous tenant. He replied on Reddit, "If it's old damage, why is it smooth?" That's the part people kept quoting. Because smooth means contact, habit, time. That night, he didn't know what to do. He wrote that he didn't have money for a hotel. His friends were out of town. He didn't want to tell his family because he felt stupid. He pushed his bed away from the shared wall and slept on the far side of the room. He left the bedroom light on. He left the TV on low volume. He wrote that he felt ridiculous. Then, at around 2 a.m, he posted a comment under his own thread. It whispered again. Replies flooded in immediately. What did it say? Are you safe? Leave now. He didn't respond for several minutes. Then he replied with one sentence. It said something different this time. Someone asked, what did it say? At 2:17 a.m. he posted the last comment he would ever post. It said, "You're pretending to sleep." After that, nothing. No follow-up. No, I'm leaving. No, I called someone. No, I'm okay. The account never posted again. The thread stayed open, collecting replies from strangers who found it later. Some people said it was fake. Some argued about vents. Some said it was sleep paralysis. But scattered among the replies were comments that were the creepiest because they were so casual. This happened to me too.